Terrifier 1?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I have seen all of that one.
Okay.
Yep, but it did take a while.
Couple sittings. Yeah.
More than one sitting.
But that's all. I mean, I'd say
That's also just because my
primarily
bedtime is like
we
an
were
hour
real
ago.
early in the morning, so it's like, you know what I mean.
We're fucking you for tomorrow.
It is. Oh yeah, we're ruined. It's way past our bedtime, so fuck it. You know.
So here we are.
But here we are.
It's great.
Yeah.
Watched all of Terrifier 1.
Yeah.
Just to get to Terrifier 2.
Oh yeah, we're about halfway through the second one.
Yeah.
About halfway.
Watching it in pieces.
Yeah, you know.
Like how Art the Clown would cut someone.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, that's nice. I like what you did there.
I'm a great podcaster.
You're a good podcaster, you.
I'm trying to be more positively affirmative. So, Kirk, what is your case for
why I didn't
how you
Terrifier?
felt while watching it that a couple of days ago when we did, and we were just all giddy, and then we left mad?
Well, also you should start with what were your expectations going in? Like,
well, I mean,
I think that's important.
Yeah, well, given any horror film, I give it leeway. There's not gonna be a lot of plot. There's probably just going to be, you're going to introduce the killer.
I disagree with that, but continue. There's many great thriller horror movies with great plots, but continue.
I do agree with that, but I understand your point too, though.
Not a lot
That's
of
not
plot.
why you're watching it.
You were going for the kills, which is something I did not realize till you were talking about it. Sorry, Kirk.
Yeah.
Even if they were going for the kills, I don't think it was interesting enough, and it wasn't creative enough how he killed them. It was just mostly stabbings, and the killings were kind of off screen too. So like in the Italian cafe or the pizzeria.
Yep.
And the guy being a jack-o'-lantern, you see that after the fact.
Yeah.
He's been cut up and his eyes are on fire. Like, if we saw that while he was doing it, it might have been interesting, like him figuring out how to do that. But that might have been... I just felt like there wasn't enough reason for him to do what he was doing.
Yeah.
The way he was sawing that woman in half seemed a little too supernatural.
Yeah.
And how he was getting around too quick. And then at the very end, he gains that supernatural ability. Yeah. So it's like, this movie doesn't make sense. So I don't know how he's doing these things.
Yep. I mean, I think those are all very fair statements to make. You know, I think the hard thing... So, I got a lot to unpack. But
you contributed music to Terrifier, too, just so that we get that on the record as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a little biased. We could say I'm a little biased. I got a little involvement in the second one, which is
really
game. Great. But I got a little skin in the game.
Pun intended.
But I think, the first thing to acknowledge for sure is, we'll take the third one right now. We were looking at the numbers on the way in, right? So it's like number 3 crossed like 20 million at the box office, like opening weekend. Crazy.
No, it hit 18 something. It cost 20 since then.
Yep.
It's holding well because...
Holding well. The first one had $35,000 budget, which is less money than we had to make The Curse of Raven Heights, So I think when you think about some of the, some of it's off screen, not all of it is like super visceral. That's probably part of it, is like just a budgetary thing where we want to get the shock, but we just can't. We only have so much fake blood to play with. I think the bigger thing is kind of an understanding of Art the Clown, right? Because not a lot of people know where that came from. So Terrifier is not the first... it's not the first Art the Clown, right? It started with like a couple short films. I think it was The Ninth Circle, I think was the original one, where Art the Clown just looks really kind of dumb. It's before the prosthetics and stuff. It was kind of just makeup.
And a different actor.
Different actor.
It wasn't Mr. Thornton.
No. And then there was a Terrifier short film that was a little better, a little bit more refined, but I believe also a different actor. It wasn't until Damien made All Hallows Eve, so that was kind of like an anthology-style film where it told a bunch of different stories. I think most of them are kind of forgettable, but it was like a nice little Halloween movie. And Art the Clown was just sort of this like ambiguous character that would just sort of weave in and out, and didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I think, watching that movie, that's kind of the draw of him, is there is no real motivation there. Like, what is that? But that was the most interesting. And I think that's kind of what sparked the whole, let's make a Terrifier movie with this elusive character that we're not given any real background on. So it's, I think that's kind of a pretty common sort of like critique of that, is it's like, what's the motivation? Why is he doing it? Why does some of it seem pretty like, standard or cliche, and then all of a sudden there's these like outlandish, over the top kills, and that's just kind of the nature of the character, and without any real like explanation, but I would say that is absolutely a movie you go to for the kills. You're going for the gratuitous violence and gore, and that is what that movie is.
I probably won't watch the second one because I don't go for like gory,
and that's
kills, and even for like the movie that's playing in the background, I wouldn't.
Friday the
13th.
It's not Friday. It's Nightmare on Elm Street. I got you.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah, because even the kills are kind of, it's creative. It's grotesque in some ways. But for the first one, I can only see the first one, but it's too random. And at one point, he uses a gun to shoot her.
That part was weird for me.
Why
too.
Not use the gun anyways? Like, just use the gun all the time. Like, for a slasher film, like with a serial killer, he has a need to kill them a specific way.
Yeah.
Like using a knife is slow, it's kind of personal, it's visceral.
Yeah.
But then suddenly come on, I've seen enough.
How would you know?
I've seen enough slasher.
Because you've seen movies. You're taking this from movies. Not that it's kind of like how people do art.
Not my personal life.
Yeah. Like, I've seen movies about the military. I understand war.
I can soldier.
Yes.
Yeah, so why does he use a gun in the middle of it? Like, does he not take joy from
that? Can be triggering for some people.
Yeah, I don't, I think here's what I'll say kind of to all of that, because I feel like we could pick apart all the things, but Terrifier for me was very much and this is kind of from personal experience, right? When we were making the Curse of Raven Heist, it's kind of like we have an opportunity to just do all the things we could never do in like 15 minutes, right? We got like 2 whole hours to do all this shit and do this whole cat and mouse thing. And I think it was really just let's see what we can get away with the budget that we have, and I know that was a very, like, there was the amount of times that I have had something written in a script where I'm like, we're going to take this person's head off and then we're going to put it on a stake, and then somebody's going to take that stake and stab it through somebody else's body, and that person will have 2 heads. It's not just for instance, right? It's just me going off the cuff. I've seen a lot of horror movies too.
Right. Yeah.
I would watch that, what you just described.
Yeah, but the amount of times I will write something like that, and then you got the effects department that's like, well, Jesus Christ, where, do you have?
They're Christians.
How many? Yeah. Go to church and repent a little, or go talk to grandma and see if she's willing to give you some more money, because how do we just pull that off? So a lot of times it's like, well, we know somebody needs to die there. We can't do all the stake and head business. Well, I guess let's just cut their throat and have some blood shoot.
A gun.
You sometimes you just have to settle a little bit.
So you're answering his query about the kills not being.
Some of them are just kind of like, it seems like, I think and what's funny is it worked for them, right? I think they thought, you know what, we need to have at least one really big thing that just shakes everybody. Everything else can be like, there's a certain...
When they cut that woman in half.
Yeah, there's like a bar.
Okay, so we're all
assuming
clear.
That's all the budget went to, yeah.
Everything, right? So they're like, everything up to that point was like, there was kind of a bar, like a line that they didn't quite cross. It just sort of felt like every slasher movie. And then all of a sudden, bam, there's this like shocking situation that we watch unfold for like a good 2 minutes. And that was what'd you call it? You said that was like the redeeming quality of that movie, is you're like, holy shit.
How dare you throw
all
this
of a
on
sudden
Zoe.
there's this way over the top thing. That's where all the budget went. It's like you get out of the $35,000, I'm sure a good portion of that came to making a whole body cast of Catherines that they could hang it upside down and have her be all sawed in half.
As the father of a daughter, how do you feel about that young woman?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
yeah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, it worked on me the first time I saw it. I was like,
What does that mean?
Very uncomfortable.
You were
very uncomfortable.
I think everyone is meant to be uncomfortable. I would love to.
That's the point.
I want a whole movie about that day on set.
Well, that's the best part. What made me feel better is, so I have met Catherine a few times. She's the actress who plays.
I understood who she was the actress.
Yes, she's still alive.
Good, yeah, I would imagine it was a movie.
Sawed in half.
They would be in jail.
Yes,
they filmed it well, so they would be in jail.
Absolutely. But so I've talked with her about that scene. But she does the best place to get the scoop is Danielle Harris and Scout Compton have a podcast called Talk Scary to Me.
Oh,
Sorry to plug another podcast in your
No,
podcast.
No,
but
we believe in maximization of like, all of these people.
They
can
bring in so many
1,000
guests.
lives
They
live.
bring in so many guests from the community to like tell stories and stuff. And they had her on, and she told the whole like thing. It's great to hear from her thing. So that was one of those. It rang so familiar to me with Dead End, where I'm like talking to these really timid actresses, and I'm like, this is kind of what we're gonna do, and this is the scene, but this is how it's all gonna go. Right? There was a lot of that where she was really into the idea, into the script, into the story, and then that scene kind of came up, and it was like, that's got to be a lot to be like
To consent to, like,
Right.
there at some point,
Yeah.
there was a conversation.
Yes.
I said this several times while watching the movie, The Kirk. That was vile, but everyone theoretically read this script ahead of time.
Yeah.
Even though you wrote a movie in the middle of making the movie, it
Yeah.
sounds like, because of that lead eldest switch. Is that correct to say in Curse of Raven Heights?
the what?
The actress who was playing the eldest or lead
Oh,
witch in
yeah.
the movie
Yeah.
got you to write backstory that
Yes.
you then added that gave the Godfather Part 2 thing to your
Yeah.
Curse of Raven Heights.
Yes. Yep. And that's part of the fun of it, is you're always like pivoting and sort of like figuring out how do we make more sense out of this as we go. I mean, at least that's how we do it. Maybe that's not how, if you got a good producer like yourself, maybe we don't have to do it that way.
on.
We got it all planned. If Damien was there, he would want
Davian's a good
everything plotted and planned out.
Well, hell yeah.
Which makes sense
especially
to
when
me.
you got someone hanging upside down naked. Like,
Right. So I felt better after listening to her tell the story of like, it was this whole thing where Damien's like, you're going to read this thing.
Damien, the guy,
The director,
of,
right?
of Terrifier,
Terrifier.
not our friend Walker, Texas Damien, who I'm only going to refer to now as Walker, Texas Damien, so
yeah,
that we separate
sorry.
him from Damien.
I did
Sorry.
not even. I forgot that we're jumping Damien's in this episode.
It's okay.
I will say Damien Leone, writer director of Terrifier.
Yeah.
Not Damien Walker, our great friend and producer.
Well, if you got this far, everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Now if you're confused, go back, start over. You'll understand.
That's how we get the listens up, boost the consumption.
So the way this unfolds is kind of similar to our filmmaking process, right? Like, well, shit, we kind of screwed that up. Let's. But no, so Damien sat down. Damien Leone sat down with Catherine when he was like, "You're gonna read this thing. Even if it's not an issue for you, we're going to talk about it because there's a lot to talk about."
He gave a content warning to the actress, which
Yes.
in this case, I don't think it spoils anything about the story.
No, definitely
It's
doesn't.
important to, and I would like to circle back and talk about like Terrifier 1 as a story.
Yes.
But
Yes.
we shouldn't close the book on this topic because
Right.
it would be the first thing I thought of.
Right. It's
It
great.
was.
It's like it's the thing that everybody thinks about when they think of that movie
'Cause
if
it's
they've
gross.
seen it, right? But that's they did the whole like sit down, have coffee, and basically Damien just kind of walked through like this is the plan, right? So this is what everybody's seeing, but this is how we're gonna do it. This is the kind of the safety plan. This is sort of so I kind of walked her all the way through it, and like
Was this a SAG production?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it was. Yeah,
I
could be
You
wrong.
should look
but
that up. As if you're listening to this, go look that up.
Yeah,
and
I'm
find out
fairly
the
certain that it
conversation.
was a SAG
Okay.
production.
Because that's important too, because then when you're working with the union, like there's a guideline that, I assume he wasn't in the DGA at this point, but just unions add cost, but unions make things safer. That's why,
Yeah,
it's a
there
trade-off.
definitely had to be kind of a whole sort of plan. And what's great about him, and I think just the fact that it's like an indie sort of production anyway.
A $35,000 movie for the initial. I had heard 50, so that was different than the number I had heard.
Yeah.
But I believe like that's how much they had
somewhere
at the end of
in that
production
realm of
to get the movie greenlit and shot.
Yes.
They probably spent more to get it.
I'm sure. Yeah. Probably
onto
other costs
Peacock.
there. Yes.
Where I saw it.
Yeah.
With 3 minutes of ads beforehand because we have
Same
the
on
cheap Peacock.
Amazon Prime too. There's
Oh, okay.
a lot of but I think that's the nice thing is that he kind of left that up to her, where it's like, and all the actors, a lot of the cast and crew talk about Damien in this way, where he comes to them with, "Hey, this is what I'd like to do. What does everybody think?"
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation.
And they gain
right?
consent through mind share.
Right. It's a conversation, and I think he knew that this was going to be kind of a shocking thing for people, and that was the goal.
No doubt.
And
Really?
but really kind of, I think he was kind of already so locked in on her that, even if she wasn't wasn't super comfortable with it, they'd find some way to kind of compromise on it. So gave her some time to think about it, and then she was just on board once she knew how. And what's really crazy about it is even after it was all done, she still was not like unscathed from it. Just being upside down is, you know, I mean, it was like seconds. I mean, she was upside down for like seconds, but it was like a repeat for different takes and different angles. Most of what you see is the dummy. So there's not a lot of, I mean, it looks like it's her. Most of it's not her.
Just in that wide shot.
I
assume that wasn't her butt.
No. No. Most of that.
The saw went through the middle of the butt, which would have been my first question when you tell me about it.
There were no saws around her body at all. It was
no, of course not.
Yeah. But I mean, you wouldn't know, $35,000 kind of indie film, shit, things could go wrong.
You can turn the camera off and move things around.
And they'd have, so like behind her, so like the braces on her ankles were real because she's suspended. But there was a table behind her and like something fixed to it. So she's holding on to that behind her back to give herself support. They'd shoot for like a few seconds and then they'd wheel the table out. So she's laying on a table.
Yeah.
And then do all the things. So it's like they tried to be super safe. She had like migraines for like a while after that from being upside down and all that. But it's like, but she talks like it made her career, you know. Now she's done a bunch of shit. She was just in the Ice Nine Kills video.
I have not seen that.
It's pretty good. Video. It's pretty good.
Where do you watch this?
I'm not crazy about the band, but like the video is really cool.
Oh, this is a music video?
This is a music video.
I'm sorry. This is MTV, kids.
It's done in kind of like the Michael Jackson style. Like it's kind of
Thriller?
A film.
Oh, it's like a 37-minute thing? Kanye did one of those.
It's, I think it's more like 20 something, but it's like a to be continued. There's going to be more. There's more to it. But anyway.
Fall Out Boy did one of those.
Yeah.
For a whole album.
Yeah. That's fun. I feel like that doesn't happen a whole lot anymore. You get a whole like story, like a whole basically film out of it. But anyway, that made me feel better about that particular moment. It is the most shocking part of that movie. It got everybody else excited, and I think without some of those tricks, we wouldn't have any other Terrifier movies.
But
tricks in the way that shooting a movie that's safely. Sorry, Kirk.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we have to dive that deep and get that much backstory of like behind the scenes of how it's done and the reasoning behind it, if most of the budget goes to this one thing, then shouldn't you, I don't know, pivot or work around that so that most of the story kind of works around it a lot better?
I mean, I think that's probably the safer choice if you're trying to really, I mean, if you're trying to actually have a successful movie, how many people are going to get away with something like that? It's like, in this instance, it's a conversation that's still happening, right? And that's, if Damien Leone was here, he'd say, well, it achieved exactly what I needed it to achieve because everybody talks about it. Everybody remembers that, you know. With the kind of budget that they have, even just having one super duper over the top thing, like it worked. Now I think it's I don't know if I want to say luck because it was executed very well, but it's kind of a lucky thing. Most of us with a small budget could not come up with one gag and then that is the thing that sparks a franchise, you know. So you kind of lucked out with that one, but to bring it forward, if we're ready, as far as, because you're thinking why Terrifier 2, I would say that the biggest thing with Terrifier 1 is it doesn't feel to me like a movie that was planned to have sequels. I think that when they were doing that, it felt to me it's very on its own, and you don't know that without seeing number 2, but I mean, that was my thing to Zoe, is I just said, you know, this is the one that we kind of have to just sort of like stomach through this one, because there's not a lot of plot, there's not, you know, I like the characters, but I don't think that there's anything real significantly interesting about them. You know, it's pretty cliche. It's like a couple drunk girls from a Halloween party, and now they're being stalked by Art the Clown. That's what we want. We want to see that.
I was invested in who I thought was the final girl, so I'll give it that credit. I'm glad I know what happens in 2, and they have more of a Batman to Art's Joker.
It's kind of, and there's I think a lot of the complaints people have, I think the production team, and including Damien, I think would agree with most of the things people say. There's a lot of hate. People have always been concerned, like, why did her character die off? Why did she not become the main, like the final girl in the second movie, right? That's why I just don't think it was a plan. I don't think at the time I don't think he thought that this would be so successful that I'm going to have, 10 times the money and we're going to be able to like go at it. So he pays attention to a lot of the critiques people have, and he definitely brought all that in to the second one. The second one is just far and away a better movie, better plot, more creative kills. That was a big thing. He's got his whole thing is he carries a garbage bag full of tools. Why did he had so many cool tools in there, and he used like 2 of them and a gun. So like, sure, like was that a letdown for some people? Yeah. Did he fix that in the second one? Yeah. There's more. There's definitely more.
He has more tools.
I would say he uses more tools. He definitely gets a little more creative with how he's using his tools and what he does. The plot is still I'll say the plot's still pretty wild. It raises a lot more questions than it answers. I find it like, and you can weigh in now because you've seen most of it. I think the characters
tells her when to weigh it. I'm just kidding.
Characters are more interesting, I think, in the second one. There's more like substance to the characters other than Art the Clown. Also feels way more Halloween. It's a much bigger movie. It doesn't all just take place in this weird
the setting is so much better.
It's like a renovated apartment building, and
like,
then all of a sudden it becomes a labyrinth.
And why are they not leaving?
And then she goes outside and then like goes back inside. We're like, what the hell? The more you watch it, the more you're kind of like, yeah, they're just kind of moving along. Like, what's set?
They're just picking back
against yourself now.
Yeah. How do we make this movie not all take place in the back alley? The second one is much bigger. It's a much bigger movie. A lot of different sets. A lot of different things.
But if I didn't like the story in 1, why am I to believe the story will be better in 2? And why is this? I didn't enjoy I think this is one of my least favorite movie experiences. I would blame it on story a little bit. Yeah. Because...
Yeah. I think it's, and that's where personal opinion is you kind of just got to go with what you feel. I would say that if you walked away from the first one and you just thought, I didn't really get anything out of that, you probably also won't like the other ones. You know what I mean? Because there's got to be enough of, this is over the top, this is grotesque. If you're not thinking, I want to see what he can do when he's got... $2 million versus 35 or 250,000 versus 35,000.
Yeah.
There's 2 kinds of people. There's the people who I want to see what he can do when he's got more. I want to see if he can take the feedback everybody's given and make a better movie. I want to see that. Or like, no, I'm kind of good. Like, I don't. It's all about Art the Clown. I
was gonna say it just depends on if you liked Art the Clown.
I'm forgiving of like the other pieces of it because the character of Art the Clown is what kind of captivates me. I feel like he deserves a bigger budget. He deserves. I want to see more. I want to see more, and he does. He gives more.
Well, what drew you from Terrifier 1 to continue watching onto Terrifier 2?
Well, Wes has told me all about Terrifier. His song is in it, so as with a personal interest, I wanted to see the movie.
You wanted to be supportive.
Like that's a fun thing. Yeah, I think that after watching the first one and like not loving it, I was like, okay, if the second one's any better, then I'm gonna like it because I enjoyed the first one enough to watch the whole thing, but it definitely not my favorite horror movie. But so far, I like the second one a lot better.
Told you.
Like the setting, that was my main thing. I was like, okay, what's going on
Beautiful
here?
set,
like,
though.
where are we?
We gotta pay credit to like the lighting and the set design.
Yeah, they did well with it,
really
but
good. It's just
like, why are they still here? Like, why did you go in there? Like, what's going on? Those types of movies have always just like, it's like a pet peeve of mine. It's like, you shouldn't have gone in there. Like, what are you doing? And the second one is much more like realistic, and to me makes it more scary because like this is in the real world. It's not in a situation that like most people would never find themselves in. So it just is like more interesting, I think. And Art the Clown is just kind of a funny character too. He's interesting to watch.
Well, did he intrigue you enough in the first one to learn more about him in the second one? I imagine the second one goes more in depth about his character, right? Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. I don't feel like he's a character that I really need a whole lot of backstory on. It's like I can appreciate him for what he is, which is like completely
unpredictable.
Yeah, like kind of all over the place. And I think that is why, like you brought up using the gun in the first movie, I think that fit totally because it's like just so out of left field. That's like, okay, that tracks. Why? Yeah, of course you've had a gun this whole time and haven't used it yet. Like, why not? So yeah, I don't know. I think the kind of all over the place type of approach is just interesting.
I like to think that was their way of making a joke to tell investors, give us more money, because you just watched the whole woman sawed in half bit, and then all of a sudden it ends with him reaching around in the bag for 5 minutes, and then he just pulls out a pistol. Like, well, fuck you, give us more money. We can't do another one like that. But I think you would like the second one better, just from a plot perspective alone. You got more money. It means you got more options, more sets, more actors. They brought in a whole lot more seasoned actors, and they do try. I say the keyword is try to top the hacksaw scene. They do try to top it. That's become the new thing now. Is like everybody wants to know, what is that kill? What is the thing that's going to make everybody throw up and faint in the movie theater? And the only reason that
walkouts? Is that an endorsement of walkouts?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they highlight those headlines because it's no bad publicity there. And I'd say the only thing, I mean, it's over the top. It's definitely more expensive. There's a lot more put into it. It's a lot longer. It feels a lot more vulnerable in that it's not in a weird dungeony basement type setting. It's in a very safe setting. The only thing it didn't work for me is that I was waiting for it. I knew that was going to be a thing because they really highlighted that we topped it.
Are you arguing against yourself right now?
I could be just a little.
Okay, no, it's fine.
He just likes to talk.
He likes to debate himself.
On both sides of it. I was like, well, you highlighted
I said it was
the
a both sides, or no, you're trying to both sides.
Yeah. You talked me into watching the second one, damn it.
Oh, watching it again? Yeah.
Zoe, to level set for the audience, what is the last horror type movie that you remember or want to talk about that you went to a theater to see?
Oh, that makes it difficult for you.
Longlegs.
Did you like Longlegs?
Yeah, I liked it. I also pretty much will like whatever movie you put in front of me. I'm just there to be entertained.
Can I ask her a question? What's the last horror movie you saw in a movie theater before me?
I have no idea.
You've not asked that before now?
I don't know. Maybe I have. I don't know.
I don't go to the theaters very often.
I've just said in that the fact that she hasn't seen anything.
Yeah.
And then when she's like, yeah, I saw Smile, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know you've seen that? You haven't seen Castaway. Have you seen Castaway?
Yes,
okay,
I've
that's
seen
good.
Castaway.
Jesus, I thought we were going to have a real problem here.
No.
Man, these things should have been worked out before you guys started.
We're not therapists.
I was not planning on having a microphone on.
Wait, I'm sorry. When did you find out he was doing this today?
Yesterday?
Oh my God, you definitely yesterday. You messaged me last night, and I was just like, oh shit, yeah, we got to do this.
We're going to the cities tomorrow.
Yes, we're going to the cities tomorrow.
It's like, great.
It was great though. We got dinner.
Let me pick a restaurant.
We made a whole thing out of it. It was
good.
Fine. It's worth it.
I'm glad. Thank you for. I will come down to Mankato for something in the future.
We'll make it happen.
And
for sure.
We're trying to do. We haven't talked about it publicly doing the live show, but we're not going to do it now. So yeah.
Are we or are you not?
No, because it doesn't fit. Well, I mean, you say what you want to. And
yeah, but why would you bring it up? But we're not going to talk about it.
To tease future episodes. I'd like to refer
absolutely do a live show.
No, we've already put on 2 live shows.
Oh, okay.
So are you implying that we might make one in Mankato?
Well, I think we should start.
A place for you.
Okay.
So we do. So I'll pitch you this live show we do. We've done it in Duluth and Woodbury. Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah.
I owe you an email. Hopefully this will, I mean, now I've got to send that email because I know when this is going to come out. Did you listen to episode 3? He says he's supposed to send you an email, and hopefully I'll have done it by then.
Yes.
Kirk will probably remind me.
We'll all remind you.
No, it's fine. The point is, it's comedians, and then we did movies. We did horror for one. We called it Laugh Till You Scream. That was the one we did in Duluth, and we covered the deposit. It was amazing. So that was huge.
37 tickets sold.
Don't say the number.
Why not?
That's a good number,
yeah, 37. That's great.
Good. Listen, I went and saw Penn Jillette's podcast live.
Whoa.
He's got a yeah, so I'm like, it was like a number of years ago, but it was at some little theater in this up here somewhere, and it was like there were like 50 seats. It was like 50 tickets. Now, they probably could have sold more if they had a bigger venue, but so 37 is pretty damn close.
Yeah, we gotta give ourselves credit.
You're in line with Vegas Entertainment, baby.
There it
is. We would like to be a Vegas
That's our next headline.
Come with 2 comedians and 2 filmmakers because it's like, who could we shove in a plane or a car?
Yes.
And then send out to places like Mankato. Duluth Woodbury. And
bring your wives, bring your kids. It's a good time.
We didn't advertise the audience we wanted. That's a good point. Thank you for the market research. No, I'm just kidding. So you said Longlegs and you saw Smile. Are you going to see Smile 2? This is being recorded before Smile 2.
Yeah, we need to. We've got a number of
we fall behind on it with just being like so busy. There's a lot of things that we need to see. I never saw like Maxine. I was really bummed. I didn't catch it in the theater. I did buy it though.
He doesn't like it. Kirk,
you didn't like it? I felt it got mixed.
You didn't listen to that episode? I'm just kidding.
Damn it.
I mean, I put ranking the trilogy. I put X on top, and then Pearl, and then Maxine. Because my argument was that Maxine kind of got off the farm, and it kind of did its own thing.
Yeah,
so there's no through line.
I applaud that in Maxine.
That's fair.
They didn't Terrifier. The whole like story didn't arc for me in the way I expected a story.
Yeah,
and I know that
it kind of went off like with the Night Stalker thing. Which, like I think I understand what they were trying to do with it, but I haven't. Like I bought it, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh no, I was talking about Terrifier. I like Maxine a lot.
Okay.
I
thought
brought
Pearl
my wife.
Was a masterpiece.
Yes.
So, I'm surprised you like X more than you liked Pearl. Which I mean, X is great. It's a great movie, really good movie. Pearl to me was like.
Thanks for listening. Movie Baiters for the Farx Brothers continues Friday morning.